friends, welcome into the Leadership Sandbox Podcast. I'm Tammy J, your host. And at the Leadership Sandbox, we are deeply committed to transforming your cultures. We are deeply committed to up-leveling workplace communication and team collaboration. We want to see leaders be healthier so that the teams produce more. And in today's episode, we're getting into something about your team that I think you're going to find very interesting. And that is leading across generations, tailoring your communication for diversity across 5 generations in the workplace, y'all. Think about that for a minute. Never have we had this many different generations in the workplace for such a time as this. And I'm excited to be sharing this conversation with you in the sandbox today. So I want you to kick off your shoes when you get ready to step in the sandbox. And I want to encourage you to come in with a reframed open mind. What does that look like for you in the sandbox? How are you going to be more open to what you're going to hear in the sandbox when it comes to leading across generations? And I'm going to ask it this way. What's one thing you'd really like to get as a takeaway today? And if by the end of today's episode, you don't actually get the tip that you want for leading across generations, I want you to go to Instagram and find me, the Tammy Bond. I want you to go to LinkedIn and go to Tammy Bond. I want you to go to the website. You can go to Bond Group Enterprises or TammyJBond.com. Either one of them, you can message me there. They're the same website, y'all. And I want you to leave me a message and ask me your one question of how you can lead across generations. Because if it didn't get answered today, then I want to make sure I'm giving you what you need. Just take that time to ask for what you want. Hey, leader, if you're navigating tough conversations and it feels like a struggle, I want you to know I've got you covered. I've got your back. I've created a communication starter pack designed to give leaders and managers the tools that they need to communicate with confidence, clarity, and real impact. So I want you to head on over to bondgroupenterprises.com and grab your starter pack today. It's time to lead conversations that matter and get the results you deserve. But we're going to get into the sandbox, and I'm just diving right in. Leading across generations, this is what's important. It's important that we understand that in the 5 generations that we have, who they are and why diversity matters in our communication, right? The modern workplace spans 5 generations, each shaped by its own unique life experiences and values and communication styles. And according to Pew Research, generational differences can either create friction or foster innovation. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? But it depends on how you as the leader navigate them, how you set up the cross-generational functioning, the cross-generational communication, honoring and understanding each unique characteristic and each unique communication style and bringing that into the conversation. And by understanding these differences, you're going to harness the strengths of each generation and you're going to create a more cohesive and productive team environment. And I am excited about that. So here's what I want you to know. The 5 generations in the workplace are these 5. You ready for them? Traditionalists. They're born 1928 to 1945. Can you believe there are people still working in your workplace today born in 1945? Crazy, right? I think that is. Like, I would like them to be retired by now, but they're not because they love working. They're passionate. Some are still working, it's not out of need. They're working because they enjoy the work and they love what they do. And that became their purpose, their whole purpose, right? But these were shaped by the Great Depression and World War II and post-war recovery. And they're motivated by stability, by respect, and by a strong sense of duty. Really important for you to know that about your traditionalists. Their communication style, they prefer formal face-to-face communication or written communication. And email, they'll take it, but they would prefer face-to-face. They want written documentation. They want to be able to refer back to it. And they value clear hierarchy and protocols, which is a challenge in today's workplace. It really is. I've seen many companies struggle with this. What's interesting about traditionalists is their worldview tends to see work as a privilege and believe in loyalty to the organization. They're the generation that stayed in a company for 30 years, 40 years, whatever, right? They prioritize long-term goals over short-term wins. And then you fast forward, then you jump over into 1946 to 1964, and these are the boomers. These are the people that are shaped by post-war economic boom, the civil rights movement, and the space race, which I live on the Space Coast. I was like, oh yeah, wow, they are. There you go. Motivated by personal growth, recognition, and opportunities for advancement. That's their motivating factors. Their communication style, boomers favor face-to-face meetings, phone calls, and detailed discussions. They want to talk through all of the details so that they understand it, so that they understand it leads to how they view understanding the expectations on them, right? And they appreciate formal presentations and structured feedback. They're hungry for that feedback. They're not the duck and covers as much. They don't hibernate out. Boomers don't. They are very social. And they view work as essential to their identity and tend to value competition, hard work, and perseverance. Think about that. You have a generation right there with your boomers that value that competition. They value hard work. Can you see where that mindset and that perseverance that they value can be in direct conflict to some of the younger generations? We're going to get into how you navigate that, because then you're going into Gen Xers. This would be me, born 1965 to 1980, shaped by economic uncertainty, the rise of technology, you remember the you've got mail, and the decline of traditional corporate loyalty. We're that generation where staying in the same job for 30 years or 40 years was not the goal. Raising up and having more opportunities to advance, yes, that was the goal, whether here or somewhere else. But they're motivated by work-life balance, autonomy, and skill development, more important than anything. They want that autonomy and they want that balance, and they want to be able to have the opportunity to foster skill development. And our communication style as Xers is that we prefer concise communication. Yes, email works. Yes, text works. And we value transparency and we avoid micromanagement. We don't like it, which is the challenge because many of us came up being micromanaged under boomers that like that micromanagement. And so we resist it, right? So it's how do you now navigate across generations? And we've still got 2 more to go. We've got the Gen Xers that have the worldview that are pragmatic and skeptical, often valuing results over appearances, and we value and we're resourceful and we are self-reliant. And then we have the Millennials. Here we go. 81 to 96, 19, just for those Zers that don't know, that's 1981 to 1996. I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic. The digital revolution is what shaped the Millennials and how. I have 2 Millennials. 9/11 had a great impact. The Great Recession had a great impact in shaping the way that they view the world as well. And they're motivated by being purpose-driven work, by receiving feedback and being able to give feedback, and opportunities for growth. And they seek alignment between personal and organizational values. Okay, super cool. Their communication style, this is where it gets a little interesting, is that they prefer digital platforms, Slack and Zoom. They prefer the digital instead of the face-to-face. Guess what makes that challenging for the generations above them who like face-to-face? This younger generations don't know how to do this, which is partly our responsibility that we didn't teach them that well enough. Most don't teach that well enough, even though it's something that we believe that we model. But they don't prefer that. Why? Because it's not as efficient, right? They like both formal and informal communication to be Slack, Zoom, all of those things. They're much more technology driven, and they appreciate frequent constructive feedback. So they do want that feedback. Often that can be interpreted as a little side note. It's often interpreted as they want constant praise. No, they want feedback to know that they're doing it. Are they doing it well, doing it right, doing it wrong, not doing it well? What is that? It's important for them so that they know how to course correct, because they prioritize. This is really important on their worldview. They prioritize experiences over material possessions and value collaboration and innovation. So if they're not getting the feedback to know that they're on the right track and it's taking longer, guess what, to get something done because they're just not sure, guess what that's getting in the way of? It's getting in the way of their value over the experience that they want to create in that collaboration. Okay. Gen Z, born 1997 to 2012. Yes, we have a new generation, y'all, and they're not in the workplace yet, but we're just going to stop with Gen Zs because they're in the workplace. They're shaped by social media. Duh, right? Global connectivity and the COVID-19 pandemic, huge influencer there for them. They're motivated by flexibility, inclusivity, and opportunities to contribute creatively, and they seek meaningful work with social impact. This is our social generation. Communication, they favor quick, informal communication and text message. There's this whole thing that we have from our Gen Zers where it's called dry texting. Yeah, it's where they give you the one word answer. Maybe you'll get two. If you get two, we'll celebrate it. That's a thing with this generation that our generation doesn't quite understand. We want more information. Are you upset? Are you mad? Why am I only getting one word? Yeah. So they thrive in visually engaging environments and prefer brevity. They do. So watch out for that because sometimes that by the older generations can seem disrespectful. Worldview for Gen Z values diversity and authenticity, and they are digitally fluent, socially conscious, and entrepreneurial in spirit. And here's what's also interesting about the Zers is they're the generation that's actually going back into the trades in droves. They're saying no thank you to traditional four-year college route, and they're going into the trades like auto mechanic or into welding or construction, being a general contractor, those kinds of things is what it actually they're liking, which is fueling part of that entrepreneurial spirit. So let's talk about some of the steps. Now that I've reviewed them, I just wanted to give you that context as we now get into, because I'm going to nail it pretty quickly here. What are your action steps as a leader or a manager? So understanding these generational perspectives is important to learn their key motivators, to learn what they value, right? What each person, each generation values, and use this knowledge to align them to tasks and projects, also to connections and opportunities to collaborate. Oftentimes I see we'll put the same people together that are your younger generations. You'll put generation type together to collaborate. And really every generation can find value in cross collaborating, but we got to teach them how to do it. We want to teach your boomers how to give more feedback, not criticism, give more opportunities for growth, not stifling. We want to teach the younger generations to ask more questions and be curious about what the older generations know, what they found that worked for them, and why they thought that it worked for them. Just simply to engage cross-culturally, so important. It's important that we get people to align on projects with what resonates most for the team members based on the value system. And I want you as the leader to learn how to tailor your communication channels. For the traditionals and boomers, you're going to use more formal or meetings, right? For millennials and Zers, you're going to leverage the instant messaging and the video updates. And for Xers, you're going to focus on concise and actionable communication. They'll take it in all formats, but you got to bottom line it, you hear me say that all the time. Y'all bottom line it, just bottom line it. I don't need all the storytelling. I don't need all the details. And most Xers I run into are very, very much like that. We want it actionable. Tell me what you need from me. I'll go do it. Cool. To foster that generational collaboration that's so important, it's creating that cross-generational mentorship, giving your younger generation the opportunity to be mentored by the older generation. But just the same, you can flip the script on that and have the older generations be mentored by the younger generation. Hello, technology, anybody? You can create those opportunities where the younger can actually mentor the older on how to more effectively and efficiently use their technology. It's not that hard. It's just about being intentional about creating it so that you're sharing skills and insights one with another and crossover, right? Crossover. Boomers can be mentors on strategic thinking, and Gen Zers can train on the digital trends that are so important. Facilitate that opportunity and create it and be intentional about it across your team, and then facilitate discussions on the differences. And I think this is one thing in recent years, I've really seen that people have been challenged with is how to facilitate those discussions. They're not sure that they can. Oh, can we talk about the differences, or are we criticizing the differences? Yeah, we can talk about it. You can actually have team bonding activities where we're discussing these and we're putting projects together, fun little projects. I go in with a lot of different tools in my toolbox, and I equip teams. I might take crayons and markers. I might take Legos. I might take nails, and I might take spaghetti and marshmallows. I might take uh, squish balls, and we're going to go and do activities together that bond us together so that we can learn how to communicate and understand the generational perspectives when we're doing very simple, fun, and engaging projects together. It fosters also that understanding of how people think, because we're seeing it play out instead of just on all work, but it's actually in a creative way. And it creates collaboration and the ability for people to see value one in another. So key and important. We also want to create a balance of flexibility with structure, because that's important for our younger generation. So we want to offer flexibility in work, whether it's remote, whether it's hours, the 4/9s or 4/10s or whatever it is, right? 4/10s, you get Friday off, 4/9s, you get every other Friday off. That fosters where your younger generations, your millennials and your Zers are able to feel that, okay, I'm having some flexibility in my work because that work-life balance is important to me. And I still get to maintain toward my goals, and I get to be satisfied, right? Your processes satisfy, your systems and your processes satisfy your Gen Xers, your traditionalists, right? But the millennials and the Gen Zers, they're wanting that flexibility. So when you communicate what the options are and the why behind it, it brings people to understand each other from each other's, the view from their chair, as you know, I like to say. So here's the thing, bottom line it, Tam. A generational diversity is a strength and not a challenge. And I want you to view it that way. That having multiple generations in the same workplace is a strength, not a challenge, because we can educate each other and learn from each other and mentor each other. Yes, each other. And by understanding and respecting differences, leaders can create a beautiful harmony in their work environment, higher performing teams, and where every generation feels honored and valued and empowered. And so what kind of team and culture do you want in your workplace? Do you want one where your generations, multiple generations, feel valued, feel honored, feel empowered? Well, then let's start seeking ways to understand and creating that cross-pollination with our team to understand the view from each other's chairs. And that is going to be a game changer, not just this year, but ongoing for you and for your team. And I think that when we can learn to lead across generations and we learn to tailor our communication for the diversity within the generations, we raise everybody up to a higher level. And when you, as the leader, get better, everybody gets better. And so when you can grab a hold of this and share it, it's going to raise everybody up to that level of performance that I think that you're truly going toward. But it starts with understanding the cast of characters sitting around the boardroom table, their generation, and, what they want for their future helps too. So thanks for joining me in the Sandbox today. And you can get show notes by clicking on the link wherever you listen to this content. And I want to encourage you with this. We know, and you hear me say it, that leadership isn't something you're born with. No matter the generation that you were born into, it's something that you grow into. And I want to thank you for taking time to grow into your next level of leadership in the Sandbox today. Make it a great day. God bless you. We'll see you next time.